But let's talk about Argentina first because the situation there is truly dire. Annual inflation is over 160%, and just in December alone, it has reached 30% monthly inflation. That means a loaf of bread for 100 pesos today will cost 130 by next month. People are getting poorer and poorer, and confidence in the currency has totally collapsed. And this crash isn't just restricted to food and gas. The crisis has hit the housing market as well. Pesos are becoming increasingly worthless in the country. From the FT, homes empty and tenants homeless as Argentina's peso crisis hits rentals. 1 in 7 rental homes are left vacant and the homeless rate is rising fast. When you have inflation so high, no one wants your currency. Landlords in the country, they are rejecting the Argentine peso. 70% of long-term leases today are priced in dollars compared to 27% a few years back. And this makes total sense on the street. But this poses a big crisis for Javier Milei. He has promised radical change, however things are about to get much worse. Argentina's debt problem is about to collide with the horrible shortage of US dollars. The government's debt burden is starting to rise and is rising fast. Argentina owes dollars and euro bondholders a ton of money. They have $1 billion worth of debt outstanding today. However, by January 2025, this amount will triple to almost $3 billion, and the majority of this are interest payments alone. This puts enormous pressure on Malay's government to conjure up the dollars. He can't afford another debt default. That will simply devastate the economy. There's a big problem with trying to dollarize Argentina. You can't do it from thin air. You need to increase the supply of US currency to match the enormous demand. Argentina doesn't own the Federal Reserve. They don't have a Jerome Powell. They can't print the reserve currency. So there are only two ways to get the greenbacks. You either increase exports to the world to earn dollars, or you borrow them from investors. It's not looking good either way. Argentina's balance of trade is negative month after month. They are bleeding dollars instead of accumulating a surplus which they desperately need. More dollars is leaving the country than coming in, so the only route left is to borrow the reserve currency from the world. It's not just bondholders they need to pay back, but their suppliers as well. But no one believes Argentina can pay back their debts. Buyers shun Argentina reconstruction bonds for second straight week. The central bank sold only 57 million of 750 million notes in their second attempt. 92% of the bonds went unsold. Importers aren't buying the bonds and suppliers don't mind it either. You buy these bonds in pesos and the payout is in US dollars when they mature. So on the surface, it looks like a very good deal. That is if they even mature. There's a very good chance that they might default. And if they do, you could get back nothing, not even the pesos that are inflating away. Milei is trying to use financial wizardry to pay down the debt. More accurately, he's trying his best to roll over the debt. The classic kick the can down the road strategy. From Bloomberg, Argentina proposes peso debt swap that may top $71 billion. Now, this is local debt denominated in pesos. Milei is trying to engineer the biggest domestic debt rollover in Argentina's history. He is trying to lure the banks to roll over their existing notes for new debt that matures further down the road. And here's the carrot he's using. The new debt will be CPI-linked bonds. However, I believe it will be a big failure. Firstly, CPI inflation doesn't really reflect reality on the ground. It understates the true inflation disaster, and I'm sure the banks aren't that dense, they're not that stupid. Secondly, if inflation is at 30% per month, you want your cash now. You want to take the money and buy US dollars, real estate, or even gold, assets that preserve their value. Looking at just their local debt, we can see a bigger inflation disaster coming. In 2024, there's over 57 trillion pesos of debt due. That's equivalent to 71 billion US dollars. If Milei can't roll over the debt, you have to pay back bondholders 57 trillion pesos. That is a lot of money flooding the economy. What do you think that will cause? More peso devaluation and higher inflation is coming. So you can see Milei's desperation. He's scrambling for US dollars while trying to negotiate with local bondholders. Let's not forget China also put away the yuan swap line. There's no backdoor solution using the Chinese yuan for imports anymore. People on the streets are also running away from pesos. Instead of keeping their money in time deposits in the bank, they are keeping more cash on hand. Since Milei took office, confidence in the currency has collapsed. Money in checking and savings accounts jumped by almost 50%. Term deposits have stagnated, and it's really easy to understand why. You could wake up tomorrow to another devaluation. Your holdings might be cut in half again in a single day. So savers are pulling out their money, pulling out their pesos to buy dollars and other assets now. The only hope left is the US throwing Argentina a swap line, a dollar lifeline where they can get instant liquidity to solve their problem. Milei's job is near impossible now. He needs to rebuild the economy while solving inflation. Both are important problems, but inflation is far more urgent. He can't keep borrowing money endlessly. The country's total sovereign debt exceeds $400 billion, of which 110 is owed to the IMF. If America doesn't step up to help, it's very likely that Argentina will default. It's just a matter of time now.